Hi children, welcome to our high school. Today I am here with a new topic in our new chapter, that is respiration. In the previous classes we have studied the pathway of air. This pathway includes nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, etc. etc. So this complete pathway starts with the nostrils and ends with the blood. Today, in this class, we are going to study about how our lungs breathe in air and breathe out air. So let us study the complete process. The process is mechanism of respiration. Okay, what is that mechanism of respiration? We know that respiration is a process which involves inhaling and exhaling. Is it not? Inhaling means breathe in air, exhaling means breathe out air. So who will do this inhaling and exhaling? We know that the organs involved in this process is lungs, isn't it now? Have you ever seen that lungs are involving in this process? At least have you ever seen your lungs? No, nothing. No, not at all. Then how can you say that lungs are involving in this process? Yes, with a simple activity, we can know that. Just hold your hand on your chest, breathe deeply, your chest cavity enlarges, isn't it now? So air rushes inside, and again breathe out, your chest cavity becomes flattened, so that air rushes out, so that you can feel the action of lungs instead of seeing the organ, isn't it? You can feel the action of lungs by holding your hand on the chest cavity, but you can't see the lungs. And another interesting fact is lungs themselves can neither draws in air as well as draws out air. So lungs themselves can't do this process. Then who will do? Just now we have discussed that the lungs are the organs which are participating in this process. And again immediately we are saying that lungs are incapable of doing this process. Then who will do? There are two parts involved in the mechanism of respiration. Let us see those two parts. The first one is chest wall, and another one is a flexible flattened muscle, that is diaphragm. What is that? Chest wall. And the second one is a flattened, smooth, flexible muscle, that is diaphragm. These two parts helps to lungs breathe in and breathe out of air. See, this chest wall includes ribs, muscles and skin. So what the chest wall contains? Ribs, muscles and skin. See, ribs, if you touch here, you can feel your ribs. If you run your finger along with your ribs, finally these ribs are attached to the spinal cord in downwards. Once see, touch here, you can feel your ribs, and run your finger along with the ribs. Yes, here at the back, these ribs touches to the spinal cord in downwards. When we breathe in or when we inhale, the chest cavity expands. Once do that. Yes, when we inhale, the chest cavity expands. The volume of the chest cavity increases, so that air rushes inside. And when we exhale, the chest cavity decreases and the volume becomes decreased, so that more pressure will be applied. So air rushes out. And the next one is diaphragm. Once look at the diagram on the screen. The brown colored dome shaped structure is diaphragm, and the bones are ribs, and the cavity behind that one is a chest cavity. Once you see the picture, you will able to understand it very easily. See look at the picture carefully. The brown colored dome shaped structure is diaphragm, and the bones are ribs. Look at the back. Bones are finally attached to the spinal cord, and inside the ribs, the cavity is a chest cavity. So these two together helps in breathe in air and breathe out of air. Just now you have seen the dome shaped structure, that is diaphragm. It is very flexible, smooth structure which is made with a muscle. It's a dome shaped structure. When we breathe out, this dome shape becomes flattened. The volume of chest cavity increased. So more air rushes inside the lungs. And as well as during exhalation, it comes back to normal dome position, so that pressure will be increased on the lungs and the volume of chest cavity becomes decreased. So there is more pressure. So because of that, air expels out. Okay. So this process, inspiration and expiration, one see. Inspiration and expiration. The mechanism of respiration involves two stages, that is inspiration and expiration. Inspiration, expiration. Inspiration is nothing but inhaling. Inspiration is nothing but breathe in or inhalation. Expiration means breathe out or exhalation, that's it. So in this process, in the process of inspiration, while we breathe in air, what are the changes will happen in these two? Let us see. In the process of inspiration, the chest wall enlarged. It becomes flattened so that the volume of chest cavity increased and the diaphragm becomes normal. Actually, its shape is in dome, no? So it becomes flattened so that there will be more volume in the chest cavity, so that air rushes inside the lungs. So here chest wall increased, diaphragm flattened. So in the process of inspiration, chest wall increased and the diaphragm flattened so that the volume is increased a lot, air rushes inside, and that process we can call it as inspiration or inhalation. It's nothing but a breathing in of air. And the next process is expiration. Reversely will happen. Chest wall lowered and moves upward. Chest wall lowered and moves upward. The reverse process, that's it. And the diaphragm becomes normally dome shaped structure, so that more pressure will be occurred inside the lungs. Diaphragm pushes the lungs so that air rushes out. So this is mechanism of respiration. One see, the mechanism of respiration is done by two parts, that is the chest wall and diaphragm. Chest wall consists of ribs, muscles and skin. So ribs are the bones. If you touch here, you will able to feel the ribs, and if you run your finger along with the ribs, finally they will touch to your backbone, that is spinal cord. And diaphragm is a flat and smooth muscle like structure which is in a dome shape, which helps in together in the process of respiration. So the complete mechanism of respiration happens in two stages, that is inspiration and expiration. Inspiration process, during inspiration the chest wall becomes enlarged, the volume increased so that air rushes inside, and at the same time the diaphragm becomes flattened, the volume will be increased, air enters into lungs. That process is inspiration. And in the expiration process, the diaphragm becomes normal and dome shape, the chest wall lowered and flattened, so volume will be decreased, pressure will be applied so that air rushes out. That is expiration. Okay, inspiration, inhalation, expiration, exhalation, both are same. Okay, so this is mechanism of respiration. And let us know some more interesting facts about lungs. See, lungs are sponge tissue like structures, very smooth and soft, just like a sponge. Okay, and these are surrounded with two membranes, that is a pleura. What is that? Pleura. Lungs are spongy in nature. What is that? Spongy in nature. And one more thing is, see, both lungs are not in same size. The left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung. Why it is? Because the left side of the body, the chest cavity, has heart, so that to locate the heart, to give some space heart, the left side of lung is a little bit smaller than the right one. Okay, so what is the membrane surrounded the lungs? That is pleura. So between the pleura, some kind of fluid will be present. This fluid helps to protect the lungs during some shocks and injuries. The total lung capacity is about 5,800 ml. What is the total? Each lung, not two lungs, each lung. The total lung capacity is 5,800 ml. Okay, 5,800 ml. That means 5 liters, 800 ml each lung. So, two lungs, you just imagine. And not only that, normally who at rest, we inhale and exhale 500 ml of air, 500 ml of it, normal at rest without doing anything. At the time we inhale and exhale, each time 500 ml of air. At the same time, after complete exhalation, that means after complete air rushes out of the lungs, at that time each lung has a 1200 ml of air. How much? 1200 ml of air. What is total capacity of our each lung? 5,800 ml. At resting condition, what is the total air during inhalation and exhalation? 500 ml. And after complete exhalation, each lung contains 1200 ml of air. Once look at the table on the screen, which explains you approximate values of gases during respiration. The total percentage of oxygen in inhaled air is 21%, in exhaled air is 16%. That means 5% of oxygen is utilizing by our tissues. And the total percent of carbon dioxide is in inhaled air is 0.03%, in exhaled air is 4.4%. See how much variation is there between inhalation and exhalation. And the next one is total percentage of nitrogen in inhaled air is 78%, and the total percent of nitrogen in exhaled air is the same, 78%. There is no utilization of nitrogen. So total utilization of oxygen is 5%, and total liberation of carbon dioxide is 0.03 to 4.4. How much variation is there? Now let us see gases exchange between lungs to alveoli and alveoli to blood, blood to cells. How gas exchange takes place in these areas. Let us see. See this gas exchange. Gas exchange takes place in lungs by diffusion process. Diffusion process means in the 9th class you have already studied that the movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration. So here inside the lungs also the gas exchange takes place through diffusion process. So how this transportation, how this exchange takes place, let us see. What is the pathway? The pathway starts with the nostrils. So from nostrils onwards, air enters into lungs, and the final pathway is alveoli. I told you several small sac-like numerous, which is about 1 cell thick. That is alveoli. So these are the, I told you, structural and functional units of lungs. These plays an important role in gaseous exchange. When air, that means which contains oxygen, when air enter into alveoli, this complete alveoli, once look at the screen, the picture is appearing, that is alveoli, which is a surrounding with a large network of blood capillaries. So these are very minute structures, and the layer which is surrounded alveoli, which is similar to plasma membrane. So whatever the air enter into the alveoli, and the gas, that is oxygen, simply transfer to blood capillaries, and as well as at the same time the carbon dioxide present in the blood capillaries enters into alveoli. So at the same time the gaseous exchange takes place. Once look at the figure carefully, minute structures and a thin large network of blood capillaries, and this complete structure is designed for gases exchange, and a very well equipped structure. Okay, so whenever air enters into blood, then what changes happen? So the air in the sense which is oxygen. So whenever oxygen enters into blood, immediately it mixes with the hemoglobin and it forms oxyhemoglobin. So inside the blood, what will happen? Oxygen attaches with the hemoglobin and converts to oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin transports to various cells. Whenever it reaches to cells, immediately this oxyhemoglobin again divides into, see, oxyhemoglobin, when it reaches to cells, it divides into again oxygen plus hemoglobin and divides into, as usual, they came to normal position, and this oxygen is utilized by the cells and releases energy, and this hemoglobin as usually goes along with the blood. See here, and this process takes place in lungs, and this process takes place in cells or tissues. When the air reaches to lungs, so inside the lungs, a large network of blood capillaries which is surrounded by alveoli, and this alveoli takes in oxygen and they transport the oxygen to blood. So at the same time, carbon dioxide exchange also takes place to alveoli. From the alveoli, carbon dioxide expelled out and oxygen enters into blood and it mixes with the hemoglobin and forms oxyhemoglobin. And after the entering into cells, this oxyhemoglobin divides into oxygen and hemoglobin, and oxygen is utilized by the cells and they produce energy. Hemoglobin enters into blood. Then what about carbon dioxide? Actually, carbon dioxide is present in the body as bicarbonates. That carbon dioxide is present in the body as bicarbonates. Okay. Of course, however, this carbon dioxide mixes with hemoglobin very smaller quantities, but most of the carbon dioxide is present in the plasma of blood. Where it will be? In the plasma of blood. But however, oxygen directly combines with hemoglobin. It has such capacity so that it directly reaches to each and every cell of the body. From each and every cell of the body, at the same time, whenever oxygen is utilizing, energy produced. So immediately after producing energy, carbon dioxide is produced. So this carbon dioxide again returns to alveoli at the same time in the form of bicarbonates and travels in the same pathway reversely, and it expels out as a carbon dioxide. See, remember, whenever it is present inside the blood, it is in the form of bicarbonates, but when it expels out, it is a carbon dioxide. Where it will be present in the blood? In the plasma of blood, but oxygen in hemoglobin. Okay, oxygen will combine with the hemoglobin. It has such capacity, but carbon dioxide did not combine with the hemoglobin. Very lesser quantities. Most of the carbonates are present in plasma of blood. Okay, so this is gaseous exchange between alveoli to capillaries, capillaries to cells, and the back. So the same pathway, there are no different areas to travel. So the way how the air enters in, and the area, the pathway is the same to expel out the air. That is inspiration and expiration. Watch complete video. If you have any doubts and questions, please put it in our comments box. Definitely you will get a reply and answers. If you do not subscribe still now, please subscribe so that you will get much more information through our videos. Thank you.